So welcome to another AwareNow Unplugged, and we have a real treat in store for you today. I'm going to run out of superfluous for this guy, Sage Darragh. He is a Walking Day legend in my eyes, and so he's humble enough to dispute that claim. And he's joining us live from Brooklyn, New York City. And we are going to dive in, and we're going to get to have some real fun with Sage today. So, how you doing, Sage? You good?
I am absolutely incredible, Paul. Thank you so much for inviting me on the show. It's a huge honor. Thank you.
The honor, as you know, unselfishly is all ours, because we get to we've got you now. You ain't going anywhere for at least a half an hour. So let me just set the back scene a bit. Now, Sage is a author. He's written a book, Naked Under My Clothes, a poet. Most recently, fantastic new song, which we'll reference through this, which is The Dangers of I Love You. I'll tell you a little bit more about my thinking about that as we go through. An artist, you can see some of his work behind him, a complete star of artists, a real fresh take on many ordinary things. And it's just wonderful to see a little landscape of Sage's mind, an activist, and also an ambassador for Homelessness Awareness, and has written a few times for the AwareNow magazine. Check it out if you haven't already done so. But now you're going to get to meet the Walking Day legend himself, Sage. Come on down. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Again, thank you, Paul. It's hard really talking about myself, but you know, I'm really just an artist. I've been very blessed in my life and in my path to have had so many different experiences, from living in a commune in my formative years to going back to New York and growing up in Hempstead, Long Island, with these really eclectic group of friends, to studying in New York when I was in FIT for fashion design, to being a drug addict and being homeless and picking out of garbage cans to eat, to moving to LA and living there and forging my way there. And, you know, gosh, I'm just an artist guy. That's all. Like just an artist guy.
To be honest, you're absolutely, I can see that. And as you were talking, I was imagining your tapestry, the line you're weaving through everyone's, and I know we've still got plenty more undiscovered, and that's kind of the exciting part.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's always about the journey. It's always about the journey, and you know, one of the things that I've learned in my experience, and why one of the reasons also I'm very transparent about, you know, the dark elements of or times of my life, is because it all lends itself to, they're all drops of water that form the ocean of us. And so, you know, they all work in conjunction with one another, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. And also, you know, just sharing your life. You never know whose life out there you're going to touch. You know, I think that we're brought here in a unique form or manifestation to share that experience from our interpretation. And so, not to have regrets or feel shame or anything, just know that, you know, I get to be here of service. I pray.
To be honest, I love what you say, and you're right. Without the villain, the darker side elements, there's no conflict and no story. So
exactly,
you have to have those rubbing up against each other, and that's what because that's where most people's lives take place. It's on that plane. So
yeah,
to be able to relate, you need to be there and do that yourself.
Exactly. You know, and that's what Naked Under My Clothes, the title was really for me all about. It's you know, the clothes are a metaphor for all of the stuff that we put on to protect or hide, or, you know, separate ourselves from others. And what ends up happening is that you look in the mirror one day and you have all this stuff on, you can't even see yourself. So when we stand naked in our truth, in our authentic self, you know, I could look at you and you could look at me, and we could see our similarities, the common bounds, regardless as to what your story is or my story is all the same story, kind of thing.
I love that. And you're so right that there is this deep interconnection. And it's very, we are made to forget that connection. And I think when we start to look and actually discover that, you suddenly realize you're standing in an acre of diamonds, because you're actually, there's so much power there.
Yeah, and
Oh
beauty.
my goodness, I love this.
Yeah,
Right, now we're going to go unplugged. You've asked for it. Here we go. We're going to bring in the fun random element. This is where we're going to actually really cut through, and my special party piece. So the idea here is I'm going to pull out some numbers, which have random questions.
Oh, okay.
Right.
This is so much fun.
Here
I love
we
this.
go.
Oh my God, my mother would have loved that.
Oh, you know, there's no expense spared at this end. We even have a bell. You get it right?
Oh, you have a bell.
There we go. So, you know,
that's fabulous.
I can do LA. I'm sat here in Canada, but I can do LA. Here we go. So first number 67. Let's see what number 67's got for you. At which store would you love to max out your credit card?
At which store would I love to max out my credit card? Tiffany's.
There we are. There we are.
Tiffany's. And wait, I'm going to say really quickly, you know, that's the first number, 67. Today's a very special, interesting day. It's a landmark day for me. It was 3 years ago today that my mother went to the doctor, and it was the beginning of her transition. And my mother she turned 67 January 9th. So that's an interesting choice of numbers. So yeah.
You know, there's no coincidences. We've gone past that. So we know that that's actually there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is my mother's whistle that I got her from Tiffany's. So that's Tiffany's.
I am so very pleased that you manifested that. So I'm laying that one on you. That's a burden you're going to be happy to bear. Let's see.
I receive it.
Number 17. Let's see where we are. Number 17. My goodness me. What is the best prank you have ever pulled on someone, or someone's ever pulled on you?
What is the best prank I've ever pulled on someone, or someone's pulled on me? I'm not really a pranky kind of a guy, but I guess the best prank was when I was a kid. We were at this drive-in theater watching The Blob. And my uncle gave me this cup of this green stuff, and he said it was green mayonnaise, and he knew that I'd love mayonnaise, and he was like, yeah, take a big scoop of it. You're gonna love this. It's great. And I take this huge scoop of this, what I think is green mayonnaise, and put it in my mouth, and all of a sudden, smoke pops out of my ears, my nose, and every orifice of my body. It was wasabi. Yeah, that was.
That's a decent one. I like that. I like that. Yeah, right. Anyone else? No. And the blob as well. So you don't know what the hell's going on.
Exactly. I'm like, what is happening? And you know how, it takes a second for your body and mind to register that, oh my God. So I was like, this doesn't taste like, oh! And they just like spend the rest of the night laughing at me. It was funny.
That's a top gag. I like that one. That's a good gag. That's a good one. You nailed that question. That one even gets a. There you go. You got it. That was a nailed. Number 46. Let's have a look. What has been your biggest disappointment you've had when you've bought something online?
Oh, what has been my biggest? You know what? I don't really buy online.
Oh, let's move on to another one. Let's say, if you could stay a certain age forever, what age would it be?
Wow, that's actually a really interesting question. I think looking back, I just turned 52. Looking back, 20 was a magical year for me. 20 years old was an incredible year. It was 1990, living in New York. My group of friends who I'm still family with today, we would go terrorize the nightclubs and dance all night and go and walk down to the pier and hang out there, and then walk down to Washington Square Park. We had absolutely no money and would go to Gray's, scrounge up a couple of dollars, go to Gray's Papaya in West Fourth and buy 2 hot dogs and a drink for $2. It was really a magical age. Yeah, 20 was a magical age. Yeah.
You know, you've walked me down a beautiful path there. Thank you. That's so good. I can well see 20. Wow.
Yeah.
Bring on more of those days and nights. I like that.
Yeah, and that was before my knees started cracking and my back started hurting.
Yeah. All the pain that comes later. So anyone who's 20 and below, spoiler alert.
Take care of those knees. You're gonna need them later.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, more wasabi. More wasabi. Number 45. Here we go. What is the quickest way to your heart?
The quickest way to my heart is honesty. It's honesty. It could, the relationship can go either way, but if you're honest, you're still a part of my heart. So I believe in honesty and communication. Just be honest.
Love it. And to be honest, in a world, people are all trying to pretend to be something different. And it goes back to what you were saying about naked under your clothes.
Yeah.
If you can actually be honest, despite whatever clothes you happen to be wearing, despite whatever the frontal appear, whatever we appear to be. I can see that a deep sense of connection there. So very good.
And honest with oneself first, and then honest with others. So that's important.
Well, you can't give what you don't already have. So I totally agree. Well, now we're kicking up now, which is older than both. 58. This is good because I was getting depressed that it was always happening. There was more numbers the other side of our age than the other, which is kind of upsetting. So now we've restored the balance. What celebrity impersonation can you do? And demonstration, please.
Okay, so growing up, I loved jazz music, Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, and I can't do it as well now, but I used to do a mean Louis Armstrong. Well, hello, darling. Yes, hello, darling. It's so nice to have you back where you belong. We always have a handkerchief, and that was my Louis Armstrong.
I love it. There we go. Look, agents, your phone is going to be ringing off the hook. quick, buy, sell. No, that's awesome. I love it. That's really good. There you are. Another line to your talents, celebrity. Well, there we go. Well, that was not bad. That was over our age. Oh, we're on the other side again. 36. Don't worry. If you won the lottery, what would you do with the money?
Which I don't play the lotto often, and have a tumultuous relationship with prize money, given my father's background. But I just thought about that yesterday, buying a lotto ticket. And if I were to win the lotto, the first thing I would do would be to put money aside in escrow for my godkids, my nieces and nephews, and my siblings and my closest friends, just to help and to make sure that they're taken care of. I would, knowing me, probably give a large portion of it away. there's a lot of organizations that I'm affiliated with that are in desperate need of help. And I would do that. I have my own organization. It was named after my mother, the Lorraine R. Braxton Transformation Scholarship. So I would definitely propel that to a next level. I have another organization called AND. It stands for A Needed Dream, AND, which is an art program that it takes every genre of art and it's a 3-tier program. So like the sculpture kids, the kids in the sculpture class, we go from ancient African civilization to contemporary, learning about the history of each kingdom, civilization that created it. The second tier is for them to recreate, be inspired by this work. So if you have a statue by the Messiah, the kids do the Messiah statue or inspired by the Messiah statue, which gives them a body of work. The third tier is production manufacturing. So all of the kids would come together and create their own gallery show. And if Sally sold her Messiah statue, $100, $50 would go into her pocket. Another 50 would go into a secured account. So when Sally turns 18, she has money for school, college, whatever she wants to do, it'll be hers. And it goes more in depth than that, but that's one of the things I would definitely do. I have another campaign. I would probably just give it all away, really. But that's why I would have to put the money aside for my siblings, because I'll probably be borrowing it back from them in a couple of years. But I have another campaign for homeless awareness, which is socks, sock it to them, where I carry socks with me, and pass them out to people who are living on the streets. And sadly, particularly in the wintertime, that's one of the number one things that people need who are houseless.
Yeah, I saw that your story, I think it was in the rights edition or the vision edition, and about where you went and actually got a pair of socks for somebody whilst your friend was paying the bill.
Yeah.
And you said it was like $14, but now
yeah. For like a 10-pack of socks, it was like $14, and this guy's walking down the street barefoot, and it was wintertime. And I was like, this I can't be comfortable with that. Like, I can't be comfortable with that. So, if I were to win the lotto, a lot of it would be almost selfishly, really, to contribute to things so I can be more comfortable being a human being on this planet with other human beings, and especially those, knowing that the people who are in need, I could make a difference in their lives. Yeah.
There we go. That gives you an beautiful answer, my friend. And yeah, I kind of knew what you were going to say, because you're such a giving soul that actually I'd be surprised if you said anything different. So bravo. We've come to the last one, but don't worry, we can play this all as long as one. Number 72. That's completely out of our thing here. Which character from a kid's book, movie, or TV show best reminds you of yourself?
Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
Totally Winnie the Pooh. Goofy, clumsy, curious, kind, humble, sweet, and has an addiction issue with honey.
There's always the honey pot there. There's always
the honey part. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it would totally be Winnie the Pooh.
Good choice. Good choice. I have been reading recently, rereading the Tao of Pooh, which actually is very good in that actually it does spin everything around, and Pooh is actually the hero. So if you haven't looked at that so far, really, really cool.
Yeah,
I agree. Lovely Winnie the Pooh with honey, that's fine. But even then, he takes the honey around to his friends. He eats it on the way, but
exactly.
He doesn't. But
anyway. Yeah.
But I love it. Well, look, thank you very much for doing the Unplugged around there. I think we've got to know you a lot better than when we first started. So let's dive into how did you find your way to the Awareness Ties family? I always love listening to this story.
There is a very good friend of mine. His name is Kent Speakman. And Kent actually introduced me to Ali and Jack in Awareness Now. And, you know, when I met Ali and Jack, it was on the first phone conversation, it was love at first word, you know, and just knowing that what Awareness Now does is so important on various levels, because there are so many platforms. And they asked me if I would do an interview, and you know, it was amazing. And then they featured me in their magazine, and then they asked if I would be the ambassador to Homelessness Awareness. And of course, I was like, absolutely. And to be a part of this, to be a part of this movement, it's more than a magazine or, you know, anything else. Is a movement, and understanding how intrinsically connected we are. That, you know, we have to. It's not enough to not to be against something. You know, it's not enough to be against homelessness or be against racism or be against misogyny. It's not enough just to be against that or even aware of that. It's important that we take action to change those things. And what we do at Awareness Now is really taking action, and to be a part of that movement is just huge for me. Huge for me. Yeah.
It's like Mother Teresa said, rather than being against war, I'd rather be for peace.
For peace.
So,
exactly.
So being for something sets up a whole different positive thing. And I think you're right. And what I see is it just keeps getting more and more speed. The spokes keep getting more and more, and we're reaching across. I mean, I'm sitting here in Canada, the other side of the pretend wall, and we're speaking now, and that's thousands of miles apart, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
So I think, you know, I totally agree, and it's always wonderful to find the instant connection, and that's always a ping.
Yeah.
So I love that. What does the word, if I said the word awareness, what does awareness mean to you?
What does the word awareness mean to me? It means seeing, not just looking. It means comprehending. It means acknowledging, being in, being present, being there. You're aware. You know, it's not just like you're in a space. You're aware of your space. You see, you feel, you touch everything around you, because that awareness, it is so involved that you're more than just seeing something. You're more than just looking. You're seeing it. You know. So that's what it means to me. It means being hyper connected.
Yes. Well, I can see that, and I'm just looking at the book, the artwork behind you, but I can see that your paintings are exactly that. They're not just surface of things. There's a deep layer upon layer, and I think that's a very important thing. And it's not a tick box aware, thank you, move on. It's actually something. It's feeling it from your soul.
Yeah.
This part of yourself. And that's why I always in so much admiration of artists like you who can actually pull from that center, that creative invisibleness, and pull there and make things. I mean, how you've described how you wrote your book, you were technically challenged, so you used scissors and then you sold 1,000 copies and things, but it's all a way, that ever giving presence, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I you know, if you look at my Instagram page, particularly when it comes to the painting, I never say buy Sage Gallen. You'll see the painting, the image of the painting. You'll see the title, the size. the medium, you'll see my name, Sage Gallen, and you'll see my website, sagegallen.com. But you'll never see by Sage Gallen, because I'm very clear that everything I do is done through me, not by me. And sometimes it's not even done for me. You know, I've done things I thought was horrible, and that was like the piece that so and so loved because it reminded them of their daughter or their mother or their loved one or whatever. And I'm looking at it like, really? Like, really? So, you know, it is going back to that collectivity, that connection. Um, and I, you know, I'm not a religious person, but I'm a spiritual person, and understanding that that's the frequency from which we germinate. That's the frequency from which we grow.
And I saw when I read your article that you were to start with were really scared of paint, because it was like, oh, it's something permanent there, but now you go with it instead.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, it's funny because like I didn't paint until my early 20s, when I was like homeless in DC. And I have a mentor, Walter Neal, who took me to the art supply store, bought $100 like acrylics and watercolors, and sent me back to this place where I was sleeping on someone's couch. And I did this painting, and what I realized, and what I continuously realized, is that there are no mistakes. There are no mistakes. So that there's no necessity for erasing something. You know, and that's it. It is teaching, painting specifically is teaching me a sense of freedom that otherwise I probably would not have been um, made aware of, had I not started, had I not put the first brush to canvas.
It's awesome, and I love how you've embraced and actually gone on and you've exceeded that. So I think that's wonderful. Well, look, tell us a little bit. You mentioned you've got various causes you got going. What's bubbling around in you at the moment? Tell us a little bit about the awareness cause, which you're the obviously the golden choice as an ambassador for.
Yeah. Well, I have the honor of being the ambassador of Homelessness Awareness, and you know, growing up as a kid, you know, I spent my formative years in the commune, and then I had a very protected life, you know, growing up in Long Island. My parents both had dealings with substance abuse and other issues as well. And so, you know, growing up, I was venomously against drugs and alcohol. And then, of course, when I hit my 20s, I delved right into that world. And I found myself within a year of my introduction to crack cocaine, I found myself homeless and living on the streets of New York. Um, I was a bougie kid growing up, and I stuck my nose up to people who I thought were beneath me. If you were homeless or dirty or whatever, I discarded you. You didn't have value. When I became that person, I understood then how once humanity can be stripped away from them, given their circumstances. Now, being a drug addict and being homeless, I wasn't a bad person. I was a sick person and a broken person, but I still had a good heart. And, you know, I understood, and that gave me the opportunity to understand how important it is to uplift everyone in their humanness, regardless of their situation or circumstance. So, you know, now not being homeless is still very important to me to lend dignity and respect to people, regardless it's how they got there or what happened or what transpired. Because if you look at it, really, um, most 90% of us are one paycheck, one sickness, one thing away from being homeless ourselves.
Absolutely.
So, you know, bringing awareness to that cause is very important to me.
And that last part where you were saying we're all a wafer away from that, and people don't realize that actually, and what I really admire is the way you've brought humanity back to something where, and given people, and this is the whole thing, you're giving a whole element a voice, which it being invisible, as you've mentioned, is the worst possible thing, being discarded. And it's usually by no fault of your own. It's of circumstances, it's a mix of things. But for you to actually give people pride back, that's a gift which is not easily wrapped.
Yeah. And I mean, it's so simple as it could be as simple as a hello, just to acknowledge someone else's existence. You know, it could be passing out socks. It could be buying them a sandwich. It could be a smile. That's simple. Just a smile. You know, and I know in my experience, it was often those smiles that some stranger would give me that gave me a semblance of hope, that a matchstick in the darkness, that there's some light somewhere, even though I may not see it right now, it exists. And that helped me forge my way out of that particular circumstance.
It's beautiful. I mean, I can see why you're the artist. That was so eloquently put. So bravo, and I applaud your continued work in a world at the moment which seems to be being squeezed. It's more important that actually that we need to make sure when we are squeezed, we squeeze the stuff which is the giving and everything else.
Oh yeah. That is, I find that to be hugely important. Like in my own personal life, when things are seemingly dark, or when I'm going through something, the first thing I do is feel the emotion and make room, and make space for that feeling. And then the thing I do shortly after that is, what could I do for someone else? How could I be of service? Because it takes me outside of myself, so I don't feel alone, or the pressure, or just knowing that we're here for each other in various ways, in splendid, beautiful ways. So yeah.
And that's a spark. You just never know where it's going to end up, which is why that's the magic. It's the chase.
Yeah.
No, I love it. Oh my goodness, dude, I could talk to you for hours. Let's move on to the last few bits, which is what has been one of your aha sort of unplugged moments where you suddenly realized there was a boom, that's a real seismic shift. Talk us through one of those.
That's kind of easy, actually. I was in Arizona, Cave Creek, Arizona, for Christmas, and I have two godchildren there. I have my two godkids in LA, two godkids in Arizona, and one here. And my 9.5-year-old godson, his name is Caden Evan Iano. And when he was born, they brought him home. When he was 4 days old, they brought him home, and a group of us. His father was one of my managers at the job I worked at, and we were friends, but not, family really. But they brought this kid home, and a group of us from work went over to see, the kid, and like, go gaga, he's cute. Now we got to go. And what ended up happening was, I kind of stayed with them for a while, and was helped raise this kid. And the aha moment was, changing his diaper, and his poop is on my hand, and I'm like, a human being's poop is on my hand, and I'm not tripping out right now. And he taught me that I have the capacity to love deeper and bigger than I ever thought I could. And this is like he's pretty much the closest thing to a biological kid I'll ever have. But just to learn, to have people come into your life, or to have people come into my life to teach me, or to exercise the muscles of my heart. That's really the biggest aha. Like, wow, I thought I had a big heart, but you just made it like bigger. Yeah. And I don't know how you did that, but that's amazing. Like, I didn't know I had that much room to love that deeply.
Never ever underestimate the contents of a nappy. Made your heart bigger, it can make other things a lot bigger too. No, I joke, but I get exactly what you mean. It's the doing stuff which you didn't actually, first of all, see yourself doing, and then having an unexpected reaction to what was an unforeseen event, it can't help but just expand. So I think that's a wonderful aha moment. There are anyone poop hands. Sage is your fella. He's a veteran on that. Look, give me one of your, because I know you've got more than one. Give me one of your favorite quotes or mantras.
One of my favorite quotes, one of them is nothing offends the darkness more than the light. And we find ourselves, and I think especially a lot of us over the last year or two or several years have found ourselves in positions where we're like, what's going on? Like, I keep getting my butt kicked. What's going on? And I try to look at it from the perspective of nothing offends the darkness more than the light. The darkness sees your light and tries to conquer it, tries to quell it, squash it out.
Yeah.
And it's that light that shines that gives light to others. And that's why it's so important. So like I've found myself in situations which were like, how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to pay that bill? How am I going to do this? And it's it was, those are the groundbreaking moments of when I don't quit, or when I don't concede to the darkness, that the light gets bigger.
I love it. It's a light which never surrenders to the darkness.
Exactly.
And the darkness tends to gather most thickly around where the edge of the light is. So I love it. I love it. What a wonderful way to go through and look at life. Now, being a recent songster, and now you've got poems, but now The Dangers of I Love You, and I watched it just yesterday. And for me, anyone, this is showing my age, apologies. In the 90s, there was a band called Faithless, and the lead singer was Maxi Jazz. And Sage has got it's like a seal, but a few years on top of him. It's seal with this beautiful face. Wonderful song, great mix of different styles going in, lots of homages to lots of different areas. I really hope that you're going to be able to say, hey, well, this is just the start of a whole album coming. Over to you now.
Well, actually, I do have a new album coming, but The Dangers of I Love You was off of my first album, which is titled Naked Under My Clothes. So I woke up. First of all, I can't spell. Let me back it up. I'm a horrible speller. One of my closest friends, Carla Radford, was pregnant with her second daughter, who's now 21. And well, not her second daughter, but her second child, who's a daughter. She has a boy and a girl. And Carla was pregnant. I did this watercolor for her, and I kept hearing these words in my head. They were relentless. So I finally wrote them down, and that's how I started writing poetry. So when I had a collection of poetry, and I woke up this morning. I heard that God voice in my head said, "You need to write a book." And I was like, I don't know how to write a book, and that's where I scissors, cut, glue, paste. And then what I wanted to do then was to create films or videos based on the body of work. And when I was doing the CD, then I did the CD, then we did the films. But when I was doing the CDs, I love that you picked up on the 90s energy, because the music on the music from Naked Under My Clothes is very 90s house music where I grew up. And the music itself represents my friends in that time. But the content of it is very kind of deep and intimate to me. And so then we did the videos and the short films. And I'm in the studio now working on my second album called This Is It. And I wanted to shoot that. I wanted to put The Dangers, I wanted to close Naked Under My Clothes with The Dangers of I Love You. And then we're moving on to the next project as well. But thank you. A very talented young man who lives around the corner from me, Marcus. He wrote, directed, and edited the entire project. And it was great just being the talent for once, instead of the producer and this person, that person, having 20 hats on. So I just, did what he told me to do, and it was just a great experience. And the young man he is, Marcus, is quite a brilliant brother.
I kind of like the idea that you had to be the diva in that. Actually, it's kind of nice. One of the easiest divas to deal with. It's like, coffee, yeah, however it comes, as long as it's wet, I don't care.
That's fine. I love it. Thank you. Yeah. It was a great experience, and I'm very proud of that work. I'm very proud, really, of all of it. From Naked Under My Clothes. We have the anthology, which I was able to get some friends who are just extraordinarily talented, and Tabitha Brown, Eamon Joseph, Nick Pugh, Lance Gideon, Messiah Powell, Chucky Love, Eamon Joseph, who did the anthology, and we're going to be reformatting that into an actual series. So there's a lot of amazing stuff coming up, and on this new album that will be dropping this year, I got to work with a man who was like a big brother to me. His name was Daryl Durant. In the industry, people mostly know him as Shamelo Durant. He passed away earlier last year, and he was an iconic producer. He and his partner Spider-Man and Buddha helped me with this project, and I'm very excited about the new project coming out too.
Wow.
Yeah,
there is plenty going on in Sage's world. I love it. Where can we find you? Because with all this brilliance, we need to get hold of you. Where can we find you?
Well, everything is like all my platforms, my social media platforms are Sage Gallon. It's really SAGEGALLON, gallon, like milk. I am very excited with the Dangers of I Love You video. We have a lot of people have tuned in and viewed it, and I'm hugely humbled by that and honored. But that's on my Sage Gallon YouTube channel, Facebook and Instagram or Sage Gallon, or at Sage Gallon.
We'll drop a link.
And then
We'll drop a link in the box. Don't worry. We'll drop a link.
Yeah. And then my website, sagegallon.com, could take you to all of my other thingies.
And Instagram, of course. The Instagram, where we can get hold of Sage, see his art and videos, and just keep up. You have to ride on his coattails because he's a very busy man. So it's kind of nice to actually keep abreast of where he is. So look, thank you so much for coming on today. Have you enjoyed yourself?
I've had a great time, Paul. I got to hear the bell ring a couple of times. That was awesome. And
there we are. Just one thing you don't forget. The high budget. No, it's so wonderful to actually get to. When I spoke to Sage off camera, I said I actually felt I already knew him because I'd seen all his work, and then actually get to meet the person. It's just such a perfect. You are what you do and what you put out there, which is. I know what which is your aim. Actually, you're naked under your clothes. Well, you align with that. So
yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Look, everyone, stay tuned. Keep up right on this man's coattails. He's going a long way. If you haven't heard his music and you want a bit of a 90s memory to go where he was when he was 20, when he was chilling with his pals, this is the perfect place. Have a really good year, and we'll see you all really soon. Stay tuned. Thanks once again, Sage.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
Ciao for now. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a great one, Paul. Thank you.